Hey BBs, it's me, your favorite auntie, Marjon Carlos, and this is your favorite auntie show, powered by Cash App. This is a new kind of advice show brought to you by someone you actually listen to. Step into my proverbial living room every week for on the pulse cultural commentary, hard to hear advice, and must hear interviews with some of the biggest names in fashion, media, entertainment, and beyond. It's enlightening, fun, stylish, and a little messy, just like your favorite auntie. On today's episode, I'm joined by my guest, the art world powerhouse, former model, mother of two, and Real Housewives of New York newbie, Racquel Chevremont. She's been a bright spot in an otherwise shaky season, and we're excited to be talking to her. I've been following Raquel's work for quite some time now, as she pioneered through the notoriously gatekept art world as a Black queer woman championing Black and POC artists as an in demand and respected art collector, advisor, and curator. Having developed a deft sense for discovering new talent and can't stop looking sense of style, she gained an impressive reputation as an art authority and New York luminary, with her work being found in such institutions as the Guggenheim and a part of such major cultural touchstones as Empire or And Just Like That. So it's fascinating to learn that Raquel had taken the plunge this year and come on as the newest addition to the RHONY franchise reboot, representing not only the inner sanctum of the art world, but queer family life in the city. Raquel has been refreshingly upfront and authentic across a bumpy season of shady takedowns, like a true New Yorker would be. We'll be talking to the Bronx native about her art career, that prank, and showing up as yourself on screen. But before we get into all that, Auntie's got to pay a bill. As a freelancer and entrepreneur, Auntie dreads nothing more than taxes. Like, can I live? But I just learned how simple and safe it is to file your taxes with Cash App. It's quite literally free and easy to file from any device with accurate calculations to max your refund. Even if your taxes are complicated, it's free 99 to file. No upsells, no hidden fees. Plus, Cash App includes free audit defense with every return. Just take a photo of your W 2 and allow the step by step instructions to get started, and leave the math to Cash App. And the best part? Your refund can land up to 5 days early and be deposited directly into your Cash App account. I'm living. And we're back, and I'm excited to introduce my guest, Racquel Chevremont. Racquel Chevremont is a highly regarded figure in the art world. Born in Brooklyn and raised in the Bronx, her 25 years in industry have made her sought after by institutions, corporations, collectors, and artists alike. Chevremont's career in the arts began with lending works from her own personal collection to museum exhibitions. In 2003, she joined the acquisition committees of the Studio Museum in Harlem and the Guggenheim Museum. She also co founded the State Street Salon, a Brooklyn based hub for artists, curators, and collectors. She has organized exhibitions for Yancey Richardson Gallery, Venus Over Manhattan, among others, and has worked with artists like Derek Adams, Dawood Bey, Glenn Ligon, Julie Marito, Gordon Parks, Ebony G. Patterson, Gary Simmons, Bartholomew Togu, Carrie Mae Weems, and more. She has curated collections for award winning films and series, including Severance, Empire, Law and Order, and Just Like That, and Netflix's Leave the World Behind. Please join me in welcoming Raquel to Auntie's living room. Hi,
Hi.
welcome.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming on the show and being a guest. I've really enjoyed watching you this season,
Oh.
and I feel like the audience has as well. So this is like a high honor.
Oh, well, no, thank you. That's sweet.
And it's so true. I always feel like Andy Cohen
Yeah.
when I have a housewife on. So this
Yeah.
is like my
Oh,
watch what happens
yes,
live fantasy.
yes. Oh, I love it.
So I love to
Yeah.
interview it because I'm really a Housewives fan. I'm very passionate about Housewives, and I think this season has been really interesting. So I want to get all your takes, but I really want to start with you.
Okay.
And because you are so impressive and you
Oh.
have had an incredible career. So I want to start at the beginning in the art world. And this is a selfish question, but are
Okay.
there any art world luminaries that are secret Housewives fans?
Oh boy. If they are, they haven't told me.
No? Okay.
But I think, and he'll probably kill me for this, but Rashid Johnson said he watches. But I think it's because his wife, Cherie, watches.
Okay,
and so,
amazing.
yeah.
Okay.
So I
If
think
there's
it's in the
one-
background is what he said. So
That's what they always say, but
I
they get
know.
into it.
I know.
My partner's way into it. I love that, though.
Yeah, he's so sweet.
I feel like the art world is rooting you on, though.
Are they?
I hope so.
I hope so. I don't know. I
Well,
mean, maybe.
they'll probably tell you,
Yeah.
like, at an event, at a gala, you'll be somewhere, and you're like, I love what you said in Puerto Rico.
Oh,
You know?
I don't know. We'll see.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Let's talk about your start and, like,
Okay.
how you got your start.
Uh-huh.
Because I know that the art world is not friendly to women of color.
Not friendly to anybody, honestly. I don't know.
Period. You know, how did you get your start? Where were you self-taught? Did you have a mentor?
So I got my start as a collector.
Okay.
And I did have a great mentor, if I should call her a mentor. So it was Thelma Golden.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Thelma's rooting you on.
Yeah. So I guess I was introduced to the Studio Museum,
Yeah.
and they had an acquisitions committee at the time.
Okay.
And Thelma was the chief curator, and Lowry Stokes Sims was the director at that time. And Thelma ran the acquisitions committee. And so I learned a lot from her.
Amazing.
Yeah.
She's an incredible leader.
She really is.
And to learn at her feet, I'm sure, is like
Exactly.
indispensable.
To learn, what she found interesting and why, what she felt was worth collecting for the museum to have, and then I also joined the acquisitions committee at the Guggenheim.
Oh, amazing.
So at the same time. So I had both, ends of, so I was really fully immersed in artists of color. And then I had, the Guggenheim is kind of like, okay, let's see, why are these artists? And, because when you think about it, there are thousands of artists, right? And so why do some make it and,
Right.
into museums and others don't? And I think there are lots of talented artists. I mean, similar to, I guess, acting or any creative field, right? There are lots of incredible actors that don't end up making it sometimes. And so you're just like, why? How are those decisions made?
And you wanted to be at the table and kind of at helping make sure that more people of color, more Black
100%. So that's why I joined the Guggenheim, because I was like, if they have an acquisitions committee, they're going to have to bring in some artists of color, right? It's not just going to be. So it was great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That was very early on. That was
Early
like
on, early 2000s. Yeah.
Which I know we may take for granted now because there's just so much diversity that we see represented in the art world. But at that point, that was like
I mean, that
very
was
rare.
2001. Yeah. No. I mean, all the artists that we think of now as like big household names to some extent were not, you know. And it was a push. I mean, Thelma really is who made the art world have to pay attention.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember going to like Studio Museum exhibits when I first got to New York. I feel like it's a rite of passage.
It is.
If you're an art lover. Do you remember like the first piece of art you ever advised on?
I do. It was a Hank Willis Thomas piece.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it was his absolute power piece.
What is that?
It's the absolute bottle. And then in the inside of it, so it's a black and white piece, and the inside it's a slave ship. So it's a holding, right. So because if you're familiar with his work, right, he takes on
Pop
these
culture and and riffs on it and like
and like
rehistoricize
advertising.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And his mother is obviously a huge force in the photography world as well. No, I love his work. That's incredible. I think that's so interesting for you to go then into reality television. Well, we'll touch on that a little bit as well. I mean, you have the chops, like we're not playing around. And then you segued though into television work.
Yeah.
You curated for Empire. You curated for And Just Like That. Like, how did you get into that? Because that's very niche.
Yes, that was very niche. And that was really Lee Daniels wanted art on the show,
Okay.
on Empire. So he kind of really forced Fox and the producers there to get artwork on the sets.
Okay.
And so the first season, they didn't have a budget, right? So
Right.
he just went to his friends.
Right.
And then once it was a successful show, then he was like, okay, we need a budget. Let's bring in a curator.
Yeah.
And the timing was right because the family was getting, more, I guess.
The Lyons family.
Yes, the Lyons family. The wealth was building, and so it made sense now. Okay, their collection is getting bigger and more impressive, and so they decided they needed a curator, and so they reached out to a bunch of people, and then in the end, they landed on me. I mean, I was very lucky, I think, because it was really what kind of started my career in that way, in television. Because there aren't a lot of curators on television shows. A lot of shows and films don't feel the need because it's expensive.
Right.
And,
Insurance.
it's like, am I going to put my budget? Well, not insurance.
Oh.
So I can walk you through how it works. So basically, they'll bring me on and say, this is the family. They'll give me scripts. And if it's a film, I get the full script. So I get to know a little bit about them. So I can decide, okay, they become people that I advise, right?
Yeah.
So it's just another, client.
Right.
It happens to be a fictional one.
Yes, exactly.
But,
exactly.
Yeah. And so I then, get put together a PDF of all these different artists that I think would be interesting, different pieces, and then the producers are like, okay, we like this, we like that. And I also work very closely with the set designers.
Okay, that makes
because
sense.
when it comes down to it,
Right.
it is not a real collection, so it does have to, hit a certain, it has to fit.
Right,
So, right?
exactly,
It's not like
exactly.
I can just say, I want this on the set, and it doesn't fit anywhere, and they've got to figure it out and accommodate me. No. So I hand them, artwork. They come back to me and say, okay, we like these artists. We feel like this will work. And, and then the set designer's like, okay, I feel like this will work with what, I'm throwing together. And then I approach the artist.
Okay.
So first I throw them out there before I even approach the artist. And then I have to, sometimes beg. It's a good thing a lot of them are my friends.
I'm about to say, I feel like you have a vast network of friends who are like happy to help.
Yeah. And so I reach out to the artists and then I get a JPEG, a high res JPEG.
Okay.
And they're all reproductions.
Got you.
So insurance is not an issue.
Got you.
I can't have real work on these shows.
Real
You've seen
Basquiat.
some of the pieces I've put on shows, so those things are worth the insurance, and then you can't guarantee that they won't be damaged. I mean, they're lights and So they're all reproductions.
They're masterful reproductions.
Yeah.
They're like, you had Basquiat's on Empire.
Yeah.
And then on Just Like That, you had Gordon Parks. You had
Well, the Gordon Parks piece was the only actual original.
Stop it.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yes. So I got it the morning they were shooting the scene.
Oh my God.
We installed it and then literally had to return it that evening.
Yeah, no, totally. It's like an artifact.
Yeah.
That's
And the reason why that is an original is they're photographs, and the Gordon Parks Foundation and the estate does not allow you to reproduce photographs because, then you could have fakes all over the place and people will, say that they're real.
Course. Of course.
So they don't allow reproductions. So I literally had to get an original, and it happened to be available because that is an iconic piece.
That's a beautiful piece.
Right. And so I got really lucky there.
If you don't know this piece, you should go back and look at this episode. But it's the original piece of a mother and her daughter walking down the street in the South. They're in their Sunday best, and they're looking, I think, they're in their movie theater.
Under a movie theater, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was apparently outlawed at some point because seeing Black people so well put together, well polished, it would make the white people mad,
right?
Basically, in layman's terms. But
yes,
that's incredible to have gotten that piece.
I know.
I love that scene.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it took a while. I felt bad for Charlotte because she had to. Because there are a lot of artists she had to remember.
Yeah.
And it was. I worked very closely with Kelly, who wrote the episode.
Okay.
And she was adamant that every artist get a shout out, and which is something I try to do with the shows that I place art on. I try to get the shows to shout out the artists if at all possible in some way.
Yeah.
But in a natural way, clearly, right, as part of the scene. But she did it. Yeah.
It was beautiful. I love because it really centers the work.
Yes.
In a way that we don't really see on television enough.
Right.
And you see the Barclay Hendricks and if you look fast enough, you'll see Raquel. Immediately, she's right there as you walk into.
I know, which is crazy. I mean,
I love that.
Yeah, but that was also, Kelly was like, we got to have that. I'm like, okay, fine.
I mean, you looked amazing. I was
thank you.
Oh, there's Raquel. Yeah. Okay. So that was, I love that was a part of that legacy of that show because I think previously the show obviously had not done its due diligence.
No.
With incorporating diversity. As much as we love Sex and the City, it's just
it definitely did not. And so they tried to remedy that with the with the reboot. So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that you were a part of that and you made that happen.
Yeah. That was fun. That was a fun one because the set designers really went all out. They generally they'll paint over it and do so. They really went all out.
Right. I was reading about that where they put the Swarovskis on the canvas.
Yep.
We love the attention to detail. And the house was spectacular.
Yeah.
That was like real estate porn.
Exactly.
On top of great artwork, it was, and I really love seeing a Black family like that represented as well.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a good segue to talk about Housewives because we see a beautiful Black family represented on Housewives this season, a mixed family, and it's really refreshing to have you be a part of it all. I assume that some of the art world skills that you picked up maybe could have helped you segue into reality television.
Yeah, maybe. In the art world, I have to deal with a lot of interesting characters.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So that might have been helpful.
I definitely a lot of different personalities.
Yes.
I was thinking about this a lot too, and thinking that maybe like the art world, reality TV allowed you to kind of self-author and allowed you an opportunity to really execute your own agency, and you maybe saw it as that type of platform.
Yeah. I think so. I think going into it, I saw it also as representation. Yeah. Right. I never. I don't know how happy they are. I never watched the franchise.
Oh yeah, you famously have said this. Yeah.
Literally never.
Yeah.
So I didn't fully appreciate what I was getting into, but it all worked out well.
Yeah. I think that you have been a real standout. Yes, absolutely.
Which is hysterical though that you say that because Mel was like, "You were so quiet." And I don't know how that's going to work on a reality TV show. I'm very, I'm an introvert, which most people wouldn't think, I guess, about me. But I'm also very, I'm observant. Right. So I don't speak a lot, according to her.
That's because you speak your mind.
I do. So
season,
I think so. But I am vocal if I have an opinion. But I do also spend a lot of time just observing.
Yeah.
So she was like, I don't know how this is gonna work. We'll see.
That's so because you, I feel like, have the most direct form of communication than any of your other castmates.
Oh, okay.
Like if you have a problem with somebody,
right? I'm going to. But that's the New Yorker.
Yeah. Okay. Period. Because you're from the Bronx.
Exactly. I have a problem. I'm not going to let it fester for months. And talk to everyone but the person I have a problem with. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I thought, and when I observed that, I thought I think Raquel wants resolution.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to make passive aggressive jabs for the next season.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, why?
And I think maybe you picked it up in the art world where you're like, hey, listen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
We're
that's
being
right.
direct.
You have to be very direct.
Yeah. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But I also know Jenna was a huge part of your decision to come on.
She was.
And I want to know in what way and how she's been a source of maybe catharsis. So friendship.
Well, the fact that she was on it, right? So that was helpful because I didn't know any of the other ladies,
Okay.
right? So I got to know Sai prior to us, but I knew Jenna.
Right.
So and she's queer. We're close in age.
Right.
We've had similar experiences. So I felt that was going to be comfortable. And in speaking with her, that was kind of where there were certain like issues for her in the last season, right? Because she didn't always feel like she was significantly older than some of the women, and so she was queer. So so there was a lot of stuff that she couldn't really fully engage in or something. I think so I think it worked for both of us.
Yeah.
I think it was good for her too that I was on. So yeah.
Y'all were very sweet friendship to watch.
Yeah.
Because the show needs friendship at the end of the day. As much as we need drama, we do need like to believe that that you like each other at the end of the day.
Well, and at this point, I think when you're thrown together like this, right, you either, and so I'm very close to Aaron, I'm close to Sai, so yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I thought so. I felt like you bonded with Sai, like you both were talking about in one episode about your mothers and how both being of Puerto Rican origins, it's like your mothers were insular and they didn't show their emotions and like it was very difficult.
Yeah.
So that's always a good point of connection.
Definitely. Definitely. And she, I guess she was raised all over, but she also has that New York sensibility to some extent. And I think that's probably why she and Aaron are the ones that I probably am closest to.
Right.
Which, I think people found surprising, but
But no, but I get that. It's like you're attracted to the confidence and the and like and then no shit.
The no shit, right?
Yeah.
It's like let's just keep it real.
They do,
right?
I think out of everybody.
Yeah.
I want to talk about expectations versus reality. What expectations did you have, and then what was the reality of being on RHONY?
Oh gosh, what expectations did I have? Actually, for me, it was probably the flip of for some people. I expected this to be a complete shit show. Like like I was like, what am I getting myself into?
In what sense? Like a shit show?
Well, I started watching. So once I said yes, then I started watching some because I was like, I'm not going to watch them beforehand because I don't want it to influence my decision.
That's real,
right? And I did, and then Mel, within a couple of episodes of one of this, said, turn this off. You're freaking out now. She's like, it's too late. You said yes. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? This could be crazy. And I don't, and anyway, with my personality.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. These are wonderful women.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah. And we all, listen, we're all living lives. None of us are perfect. And I think that everyone tries to be as open and honest as they can be. I mean, the one thing I did not, I went in fully like, I'm just going to be honest about who I am entirely.
Right.
Maybe I should have held back certain things.
Do you feel that way?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I think some family members might not have been that happy. But but then again, like I'm on a reality TV show, and why am I in this if I'm not going to just share my life?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think in the end it worked out fine. Overall. And I also I realized there were so many misconceptions about who I was and where I came from.
Okay.
Just because I have a public life before, and so I've had a public life for a while. But people, I would sit and talk to people who would say, "Oh my God, like I thought you came from some like wealthy family somewhere."
The last name.
The last name, maybe it was the last name. It's how I carry. I don't know what it was, but people seem to think that.
Yeah.
Right, and so I think this has shown them that that's not
right. No, exactly. But I think that to be seen.
Yeah.
Is always a real daunting experience, and especially on a platform like this.
It's scary, right? It's very vulnerable,
yes.
Because my life has not been perfect, and whatever anyone has seen, I think people see you on a red carpet or see you on things and think, oh my gosh, what an incredible life, and it's like, well, you know what, it's hasn't always been
right. I've had hardships.
It's not always,
yeah.
So,
I mean, and I think. in a lot of ways, being vulnerable is a superpower.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
especially in this day and age, we see a lot of people who have manicured lives online, but like who may be hurting
exactly
or have been through certain odds.
Yes.
So I think that's why we found you so refreshing.
Oh,
because you brought all yourself.
I sure did.
You brought all your kids. You brought your
I brought
partner.
my partner. Yeah, I brought all the drama in my life for the most part. You know, like the the good, the bad, and the ugly. Right? It's just you gotta, because we all have it.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So maybe it's good now. People, you dispel these notions.
It's true. Yeah. No. So I think it's good. I actually, and that's what I was going to get to, is like, I think now people have a better understanding of who I am, and and I'm not some, like, I don't know. I just think people had a whole other idea of who I was. It's interesting.
Even today, finding out you're a little shyer, is interesting to me. You know, like, even that's very interesting because like, hello, you're wearing Rick Owens.
Right, I know. I don't dress like a shy girl.
No, not at all. Not at all. So that's, I think that's kind of the beauty of it.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on a little bit about what you had mentioned about Jenna and the fact that, like, she had been concerned about the intergenerational component.
Right.
Was that a concern for you as the season went on, or like?
No, it wasn't, because I think also I'm in the art world, so I'm artists are all ages. Yeah. There's no, and I'm young at heart. Like, I may be the age I am, but I'm not. You know, so it's I love, So no, that wouldn't have bothered me as much. I think it was difficult for her. It wasn't as difficult for me.
I feel like in New York, we never really grow up.
No. Who grows up? Who wants to grow up?
I know.
Growing up's not fun.
I know. And I was like, if I didn't live here, I'd probably be in the suburbs, and I'd be, married with the
you'd
backyard.
be a grown-up.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be a grown-up. And in New York, you could kind of be a Peter Pan, but it's also a spirit of, like, trying things.
Exactly. And I think
open.
You have to stay open.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, then what? It's boring. Life just becomes boring if it's the same thing over and over again, right? So, So always, I'm like, when this opportunity came, I was like, is this something I would do? And it's like, well, you know what? I don't want to sit back and be like, maybe I should have just tried it and seen. Maybe it wasn't, and I have people in my ear like, this is not for you, because they're, that once it was announced, a lot of people were very surprised.
Speak to that a little bit, because we talked about a little bit of that before we started recording.
Yeah.
People may have thought this might impact your career.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. People thought this is probably not a great business decision.
Okay. Okay.
Professional decision. And why? Like everyone, I had a lot of that. I expected people to be like, oh my God, that's cool, right? Well, like when Jenna announced it, and, because clearly she didn't tell me beforehand because she couldn't, I immediately was like, holy shit. Oh my God, have so much fun with it. Like, what a different chapter. And this is, just look at it as fun. And I didn't get any of that. I literally got why. Yeah.
So did that make you kind of second guess your decision a little bit?
No, actually.
Okay,
it
good.
didn't.
Okay.
No. But I thought it was curious. Like, yeah. No one was like, oh my God, it'll be fun. Or no, it was interesting.
Like when I saw that, I was like, oh, I got to talk to her. I gotta have her on the show. Like, that was like I feel like I reached out to you in August.
You did. You reached out to me like immediately.
I was like, announced, sit down,
and I was like, what am I going to talk about? I can't say anything until it airs.
Exactly. So, but now we have plenty to talk about. But I for one was like, this is very interesting, because I think I found that the first season, what I wanted was a lot more like decision makers in the city, like people who are like, on the scene, or this is what I felt. I felt this, I'm just one viewer. And when I saw you in there, I was like, yes, this is a woman who's on the scene, who knows and making decisions and is sitting at these tables and really doing the damn thing.
Okay.
So that's what I felt like. You were a true New Yorker in that sense.
Yeah. But see, I wonder, like, I feel like there are, I guess, viewers like you that want that. And then I think there are viewers that are like, where are the women just married to rich men that get to have these fabulous lives? Like, I don't want to see that she actually has to pick up her children or she actually has to, like.
There's a fantasy.
Yeah.
There is a fantasy involved in it. You give us the fantasy, though.
Yeah. Oh, do I? That's
you
good.
do. Honey, like you showed up on a Ducati. That's a fantasy right there. Okay?
That's, It's our mode of transportation. So it's like,
you ride the bike like every day?
Yeah, we do. In the summertime. I mean, because it just gets us through the city faster.
I
take calls on it.
You take calls on
it? Yeah, it's hysterical. My kids, they'll call and I'm like, yeah, what's going on? They're like, oh my God, you're on the bike, aren't you? Because you can hear it going. And I'm like, yes, what do you need?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
no minivan for you. No. When did you start writing?
So I had someone I was dating in like, I don't know, the late 90s.
Okay.
Had a Ducati.
Okay.
And I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And so it was like a huge deal. And then, so I rode for a while then.
Yeah.
And then I stopped. And
okay.
I got married. I had small kids. So it was like, okay, definitely not doing that right now. But once they became teenagers, and then Mel loves riding. And so it was like, oh my God, let's get some bikes. And so, but I'm not allowed to ride anymore.
Yeah, I read that somewhere. Yeah. Why is that?
Because I got into a bit of an accident.
Oh,
so,
no.
Yeah. Because I'm also like
a speed devil.
Yeah. I am. And it's great in a car. I'm a very good driver. I am. It's really funny because I had my son and some of his friends who are on his basketball team with him, and I was driving them to a game, and the guys in the car were like, "What is that sound?" And I was like, "A radar detector."
Oh, radar detector. Oh, right. To make sure that the cops aren't around.
Right.
Yeah.
What does that do? I'm like, it scrambles a signal so I can slow down. And my son was just like, oh, my God.
You are a New Yorker. That's what cab drivers have. I'm obsessed.
So
you're a speed diva.
Yeah, I am. And so at that point, Mel was like, okay, you're not, you can't ride. Because the kids, everyone got worried, right?
No, I get that.
I get it, and I get it too. And so, I'm like, okay. And she's amazing. She's so,
cool.
Yeah. She has watched video after video after video. So any little scenario we get into, she knows what to do. I would just be like, hey, there's wind. Let me go faster. Maybe the bike is moving. Let me just kick up the speed. Yeah, no.
Do you guys go to biker bars?
We don't go to biker bars, but we are part of the Ducati club. So we do a lot of rides.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So sometimes they have rides with Lamborghinis or the Porsche and Ducati ride or just the Ducati ride, and we're riding upstate or we're riding out to Long Island or something. Yeah, so we do a lot of rides.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, but what's scarier, doing a Ducati ride on the West Side Highway or joining RHONY?
Probably joining RHONY.
Yeah.
Way more. Ducati ride is way more predictable.
Okay. I mean, because it's we know at that point you're a thrill seeker.
Yeah.
But when you walked in to the show, I'm just kind of placing us back at the first episode. Mm-hmm. You are walking into Bryn's cocktail.
Yeah.
And all the girls are fighting.
Right. Well, they weren't fighting when I first walked in. But
Right. Over the course of the evening, they start fighting.
Of the evening, yes.
What are you thinking? You're like, damn. What the...
You know what? I'm actually not thinking. I'm from the Bronx.
I was just about to ask. I was like,
what am I thinking?
Does this faze you that your friends argue in public or no?
Okay. No, not at all.
All right. So that's a very New York thing.
Yeah.
It is a New York thing to yell at people on the street.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
It is.
It is.
So this didn't faze you?
No.
You didn't judge anyone?
I didn't judge anyone. No. Even, screaming, not today, Satan, did that. It's like, hey, listen, sometimes I'm there too. Not today, Satan.
That was a moment.
Yeah.
Did you take any sides? Did you not even really understand what was going on?
I couldn't take sides because I didn't know what was going on, right?
Yeah.
Because these were grievances that happened prior to my getting to know anyone.
Right.
So I heard both sides eventually. But I couldn't really take a full side yet.
You were the observer.
I was the observer, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little further into the season, you get to the Hamptons where there's more fighting. My personal favorite moment of you in on those episodes where you were grilling in the fur. and the black fur. It was very like Game of Thrones. It was very like House of Dragons.
It was cold outside.
No, I believe it, but it was very chic. Like, I mean, it's just like you're painting this great picture, right? Like, I do Ducati rides with Lambos, and I'm grilling in my black fur, and my friend's Hampton's home.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
Was that the same black fur you wore?
On Watch What Happens?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same one. Yeah.
Okay. I was very obsessed. So you were like, you had these really iconic moments, like going in. You had the motorcycle ride.
Right.
You had this grilling.
I mean, I love that was iconic. I literally was just, listen, what does a girl wear when she's grilling but a long fur coat? Like, why not? What
it just
else do you
stood out
wear?
to me because I feel like to the end of like people being like, is she, I want this type of housewife.
Right.
You're kind of already painting the picture of a really luxurious woman.
Right.
It's just a different.
It's a very different type
idea.
of
Yeah.
different idea of luxury. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm plugged in.
Yeah.
I kind of want to talk about like the prank of it all because I know I want to get it out of the way so we can move on to other things. There's a lot to discuss.
Yeah.
So, okay, in real time,
yes.
Did you think that it was going to be such a big issue and divisive issue as it tended to be? As it turned out?
Divisive within the group or divisive
with the audience.
The audience.
Yeah.
Right. No, I didn't realize it was going to be so divisive with the audience. But I also it was when it was told to me by Aaron because I knew prior to it being told to everyone by Bryn. I thought that's just kind of weird and silly. Like I don't even understand. Like why would Rebecca want to do that?
Yeah.
Who wants to put their marriage make that kind of a joke to weed out a pigeon? I'm like, and we're all, I guess, pigeons supposedly according to Ubah. So.
I just want a working definition.
Yeah. So for me, I was like, it doesn't make sense because I'm an animal lover. And I'm like, no, I am. And pigeons are misunderstood, right? I know that everyone's like, oh my God, pigeons in New York, they're like flying rats. They aren't. They were brought here and they were wild birds and we domesticated them and then we had no use for them anymore because we got, mailmen
period.
Right. And that was it.
Yeah.
So then we just kind of let them go and they had to live on the streets and figure out how to, and then they lost their wildness. So they were dependent upon us to eat. So anyway, I'm not going to go into my whole nature thing.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, so we can put that. But it was supposedly that, people were delivering messages that were incorrect.
Okay, got you.
But pigeons delivered proper messages because they were written in their little thing. Yeah, so there wasn't. So anyway, so none of it really made sense.
Yeah.
But here goes the pigeon thing. And so yeah, so this was to weed out a pigeon, but only 2 people were told. So I was like, yeah. So I don't know. The whole thing had a lot of it didn't land. Right.
It didn't land.
Yeah.
I think that was the thing. Yeah. I think a lot of people within the audience were losing trust at that moment when we feel like we're set up. We're like, because there's such a huge buildup for this prank,
right?
In the trailer,
that no one knew it was a prank,
and then we see it. Did your castmates in that moment, when you get this response, what were they thinking? What were you guys kind of saying to one another?
I think, I was like, okay, it makes sense. Now, not being a like a reality TV watcher, I didn't understand, what people expect and don't expect, and a prank is going to fall badly because people don't. So I didn't fully get all of that. And then once it was, I heard from the audience, because who couldn't? Because everybody was talking about it at that point in time. It was like, okay, I get it, right? Because now I understand why a prank didn't make any sense. Because everyone made people lose trust.
Yeah.
Because people want to see your real life, and they thought that this was a real thing happening, and then it was like, oh, someone's just a prank, and so I get it. Yeah. Listen, I understand.
Did the group chat go off when it was?
It didn't, because we were all like, I think we all understood. Okay,
right.
it was the wrong thing to do, and I wasn't a part of starting it, but I think Aaron and Rebecca, they I guess they said, listen, yeah, we were wrong. That was probably not the right thing to do.
Did they take accountability for it later on, like after the
I
fact?
think they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you were the only person that, from what we could see in the episodes, who were like, I'm confused by this.
Right.
This is like not making me feel good about it.
Yeah.
You know, like you were like, I felt like I couldn't trust Bryn.
Right. So I was very confused by it because of that, because I got part of the story and then not the full story. So I was told that this was told to Bryn, but I wasn't told that then Bryn was going to actually be in on it. So when Bryn divulged it at, at dodgeball, I was like, oh God, gosh, you can't tell her anything. Like, I mean, if she's going to tell something this sensitive, then what, but then I find out that she knew it was a prank. So it was just like, so what is going on here?
Right.
So yeah, so that was more what I was upset about. Less so that it was a prank, but more so like I wasn't told that she was a participant in the prank. And so I immediately was like, well, I'm not saying anything to Bryn. Like, I'm not sharing anything with her because it'll just come right back out. Not only will it come out, it will come out with a whole like...
embellishments.
Yes, yeah, exactly. With a bunch of whipped cream on top, and so it's like,
with the embellishments, I'm always like, what's the difference between an embellishment and a lie? Like when it comes to Bryn's.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it depends on where you stand with respect to embellishments and lies. Yes.
Exactly, because I was like, I think we're giving her the benefit of the doubt when we say embellishment. But I feel like as the course of the season goes on, it's like, you just might be out and out planting seeds.
It's possible.
Yeah. Did you guys approach this topic at the reunion? Obviously, was it like a very dramatic...
The prank?
Yeah, the prank, yes.
I can't even remember. There was so much. The reunion. Honestly, I wish I could tell you that. Did we broach the prank? I think Auntie was so upset with the prank that I'm not sure we did.
Really?
I mean, we might have, but I don't know. It wasn't. It is definitely not what stands out to me from our reunion. I'll tell you that.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Did you like film all day?
Yeah.
You were exhausted.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so draining.
It's so draining. The whole thing is emotionally draining, right? If you're really just being open and it's all of it. The shoot, it's. I mean, think about it, right? Like
I get drained from this. I'm gonna go home and take a nap. What are you talking about? Because you're building up, and then to have people following you around and to then replay it over and over again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have to go through everything that happened, and it's and there was a lot of emotional stuff.
Yeah.
So it's very draining. So I wish I could say we discussed it, but I honestly don't even remember.
You're like, it's all a blur, and
it is a blur.
You have PTSD, basically.
I left, and literally that next morning I was on a 6 a.m. flight to LA.
Wow.
and I basically did nothing for like 4 days, and
catatonic.
Yeah.
I get it. Did you go to Kathy Hilton's?
I did.
I saw that, and I was like, maybe that's why she was in LA.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was fun. It was fun. I don't think people in LA really like to dress up. Maybe only housewives in LA dress up. I walked in, I'm like, wow, there's some people in sneakers here. I'm like, it's a holiday
LA,
party.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, but it was fun.
Did you meet any OGs? Housewives?
Well, I had met, oh my gosh, no, I'm going to completely blank on her name. I'm like, this is menopause for you though, really, honestly. You've got a lot of fun time ahead of you here. From Orange County, Heather.
Oh, yeah.
So I had met Heather before.
Heather Dubrow.
Heather Dubrow.
Okay.
And so she was there.
Okay,
so
cute.
It was good to see her again. Meredith was there, but I didn't get a chance to speak to her.
Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah,
I feel like
she was great. I know, but I didn't get a chance to speak to her. And then Kathy was there, but I think that was it from the Housewives. I don't think anyone else was there,
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's interesting for the two worlds not worlds, but two chapters of RHONY to meet, right? Or you to meet with other housewives in the franchises, right? And have those worlds overlap.
Yeah.
Maybe they pass on some type of advice or anything I don't know if Kathy did or not, but
no, she didn't. She was just like, it's funny because I had met her years ago at a LACMA gala.
Okay.
And so when I saw her, she's like, I know you. And I was like, yeah. And she goes, but is it because I think I knew you from the show? It's like, no, we did. We met years ago.
Right.
But it was brief. So, yes, it might be, more so from the show than from that. But yeah, it is. I haven't met anyone from New York outside of Kelly. I was on a Page Six thing, like a live thing with Kelly. And so I did get a chance to meet her briefly. But yeah.
Oh, not Kelly. Kelly Ben-Simone. Why did you
Kelly
say
Ben-Simone.
Ben-Simone. Of course, Kelly Ben-Simone.
Yeah.
What is it called? Jelly Bean Kelly. It's like a weird little nickname.
Oh, wow. I wish I knew that. I was like, hey, Jelly Bean.
I know. I'm like, do you go back and watch old RHONY? It's like, would that be a part of your
deep dive? I literally, there's so many, there's just so many seasons. I wouldn't even know, do I start from the beginning? And I've wanted to catch up with the women who are currently airing, right? So so I did Salt Lake City, Orange County, and now I'm doing Beverly Hills. But, and so I don't know that I have time to go. Like it's
no, I know. It's a lot. It's deep. It's deep.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
There are a lot of seasons.
Like whenever I'm sick, I will just
throw it on.
Yeah, boot it up.
My kids don't like it. So
they don't like Housewives.
Well, I mean, they're just like, so I asked my son.
I want to know about this. It's interesting. Yeah.
So I was getting makeup done for Watch What Happens last week. And my son was just heading out. I was on the phone call with him because he had a basketball game that went really well. And so we were talking. And Chris, who does my makeup, was like, are you going to watch your mom tonight? And he goes, I don't watch that show. He's like, and he was like, no, why not? He's like, I don't want to see my mom talking about certain things. Like, and so he was just like, it's kind of, so I think it's that.
Yeah.
It's like, that's me knowing too much about my mother that I may not want to know right now.
That.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah. So I thought that was an interesting response.
He's like 16,
17.
Yeah. It's like that age.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
But do they think it's cool? Like overall?
They do think it's cool.
Yeah.
They think it's cool. And they, they think it's funny. Like I walk down the street and someone's like, I love you, out of an Uber or something. So they're like, my son was like, what is that? That's for you?
You're like,
I'm like, well, yeah, I guess somebody loves me. I don't know. But she didn't like, dude. And my daughter's like, no, random people just scream, I love you to mom while we walk down the street. And it has nothing to do with the show. But yeah, they don't watch. They don't want to know that much. And I guess there's talk about sex and stuff. He was like, I do not want to see my mother talking about these things.
I mean, yeah. You went to Lady K, Lady Confidential.
Exactly.
Right, like I don't know if he wants to like.
He doesn't want to see. Yeah, he was like, you guys do too many things I don't want to see my mother doing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see them, and it was nice to like get to know them. They're so cute.
Then they're the sweetest, and I mean, I love my kids to death. They are just really, really good people. Yeah.
I think
they're growing up into.
They seemed very well adjusted. From like I was like, you guys seem like cool New York kids that are grown ups by the time you're 15 because you've seen it all.
Oh yeah.
They've seen it all now.
Yeah.
They're on
they
Bravo.
Sure have.
What have you learned that works in like Housewives world versus like New York society world? Because some things don't always translate.
New York society world versus Housewives world. I guess, what works in Housewives world that doesn't is maybe cursing someone out in public. Maybe works in Housewives world. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that, in like upper society that, but then again, maybe not. Listen, I've been around all of it.
Right.
So
right.
I've been around like the good, like just all kinds of crazy. So I think everything works. Yeah.
Everything works. Okay. All right. I mean, I feel like on Housewives, there's certain things that for instance, you might have to take a bone back to the group that you probably wouldn't like tell your girlfriend, like, oh yeah, I heard your girlfriend's like talking about you at a breakfast. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of stuff is very Housewives, where you probably wouldn't tell your homies that kind of stuff.
Maybe not. I would like it if my friend was like, listen, they're talking shit about you over there.
Oh, period.
Like, yeah, I want you to tell me, like, and then I can talk to the person. But yeah, I don't want to like have people saying stuff about me behind my back and my friend's there and doesn't say anything and doesn't tell me and doesn't like just allows it to continue. Like, No, so I think that, in real life too, I definitely would expect my friends
You brought that
to
to Housewives, because in Housewives, people just talk about each other behind the back, and it's caught on camera, and then you have to talk about it like awkwardly 6-7 months later at a reunion.
Okay.
Where you're all like sequestered for a day.
Right.
That's yes.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your family a little bit, because we kind of got into it.
Yep.
I've been staring at your
my ring. Oh, I know.
I feel like this was another housewife this season. Like
the ring took on a life of its own.
It's
I
beautiful.
mean, literally, thank you. But we did not expect the type of reception and interest and curiosity around it that we received.
Right.
Yeah.
No, because because it's not your typical
engagement.
Harry Winston.
Yeah. But am I your typical Harry Winston?
You're not.
Girl? Right.
You're not.
Yeah.
Wait, so tell us the story about how this ring came together. I know you're a fan of the designer.
I'm a fan of the designer, and we give each other gifts all the time from this designer. But
lovely.
So the kids, one is one I had been looking at for a while.
Yeah.
And then one is from Mel, and then each child picked. So literally the kids picked the rings, and she asked them if she let them know and asked if it was okay for her to propose. So
that's the sweetest thing in the world.
Yeah, so it was a whole family decision.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Yeah, so that's why there are 4 rings. Yeah.
How did she know? I mean, but I guess this is just a testament to like your connection.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how do you get your fiance to find the right ring? Because this is the right ring for you.
This is the right ring for me.
Yeah.
She just knows me, I guess, and I'm not like, I don't like prissy. I shouldn't say prissy. Sorry. Because yes, those
Delicate,
rings are beautiful,
precious,
and they're beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
a big rock on your finger, like they're beautiful. It's just not me.
Yeah.
And it's not practical for me. I can't, not that I can get this into a motorcycle glove, because I can't either. So I do have to take this one off in order to get in, like, But anyway.
That's real.
It
She
is
could put it
real.
in like a special.
Yes, yeah. And my motorcycle jacket. So I have this little pocket that's like secured. Sorry, I keep hitting the mic, and I'm sure she's probably like, I'm going to kill this person. She keeps hitting the mic. But yes, and it's more like an art piece, right?
It is.
And for me, honestly, like a ring, I'm like, I would have taken a piece of art as an engagement ring. I'm past that.
Okay.
I did the big rock. I did all of that in
Yeah.
my past. I'm now, I think more like, well, do I want it on my finger, or do I want it as a down payment for a house?
Right.
Like, that's where I'm at.
I think that's a really great way of thinking about things as well.
Yeah.
I mean, because there comes a point where you're like, do we want a wedding, or do we want to invest it into
Bingo.
Oh.
See? Exactly.
Are we getting a wedding?
We might get a wedding, but we're not getting a wedding this year, because instead we're going to invest it into a home. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Where do you think you might?
I'm not
plant
going to say
roots?
just yet.
Okay.
Yeah. I have ideas, and I know where, but I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your engagement party, it was like you're kind of coming out in a way that you guys were really celebrating your love and the connection, and you were a little hesitant about it. But overall, it seemed like you had a ball.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
We did have a ball.
We had a ball.
We had a ball.
Oh my gosh. That was
Yeah.
Did the straights get it right? 'Cause
They did not. They were all very confused. But they said as much. It was like, this is weird. There are too many options. I'm like, that's not what this is. It's not. You're not understanding. And the only one that did get it was Jenna.
Period.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. That would have been disappointing if she hadn't gotten it.
This is actually would have been very. She looked great.
Yeah, she looked amazing.
She looks amazing.
I mean, really.
With the Grace Jones, Grace Kelly confusion, I was like, y'all, you friends with a straight person win.
I had to try to give her the benefit of the doubt, because I was like, okay, is it her age? But then I'm like, but Grace Kelly's old. So you know who Grace Kelly is, but you don't know who Grace Jones is. Grace Jones is younger than. So, okay. So it's not the age thing. Yeah.
She's like, that's not my world.
It's not her world. And it isn't, and that's honest. And listen, what are you going to, like, I like that honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah. She wasn't trying to pretend.
She was not.
Yeah, it's
She's
not
like,
like,
oh yeah, now
right. Yeah, instead of going, oh, I slipped. I meant Grace Jones. She didn't do
Right.
that. She didn't try to hide it. She was like, yeah, listen. That's why I like Erin.
I love that you guys are friends, because again, also Aaron and Abe they got their costumes. I felt like their costumes were great.
Yes.
Like they went there.
They went there.
And I felt like they executed pretty well.
They did. I think Abe would have liked something sexier. Yeah. It was a very last minute, you know. He totally would have gone with something, you know. But I mean, I love them for that. And I love Abe for that, because I think to have that confidence as a man, as a straight man, it's, you know, it's refreshing, and you don't always get that. And I love it. Yeah.
I know. I feel like I think you guys have spoken about on the show about how Abe surprised you in so many different ways. You're like, ideologically we're different.
Yes.
Maybe people wouldn't have thought like a cis-het man and a lesbian woman would have a connection like that, but they do.
They do. And it's real.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think they speak to each other more than anybody else, I think. No, we all talk to each other a lot, but they do definitely speak a lot. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. They're texting each other at odd hours, like 6 a.m., you know, she'll wake up to a text from Abe.
Do they have like a shared taste in music, or like?
They do. So Mel DJ'd her way through her PhD.
Oh, cool.
So while she was at Columbia, she DJ'd.
Okay.
At night. So I don't even know how she did it. Because she was up until 4 a.m. and then had to go to school.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was interesting. And Abe DJ'd while he was in school. Yeah.
Well,
So they had that connection.
Abe the Babe.
They both own their own practice, you know.
Right.
So Mel's mental health practice, he has a law practice. And so they really, I mean, they connect on a lot of things, actually. But those two were very significant things in their lives, and they share. And so they talk to each other a lot about business, about, I mean, everything. Like to a point where I'm like, really, babe? Where it's like, we're going to do this. Maybe I should call Abe. I'm like, what? Is Abe now our, like, I mean, what? Like, are you
is their couple
serious?
friend.
Yeah. But it's great. It's awesome. I love it.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
That's very cool to know that they have that like music connection.
Yeah.
And then obviously they're both business people, they're entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how Mel's line of work has like prepared her for this show, because I feel like as a forensic neuropsychologist,
Yes.
you have to be very sensitive to people's personalities.
Yes.
And I feel like you just have to be compassionate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they just have a lot of patience.
They do.
Okay.
Yeah.
With something like this.
Yes, she does. She has a lot of patience.
Has she been having fun with it?
She has.
Okay, good.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I think because we kept it light, like, given what she does for a profession, like, you know, she wasn't going to be on camera all the time.
Right,
like,
right.
Because it is a little complicated. I mean, so, but she's having fun with it, I think.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But she and our relationship is so much fun. Like, it's literally, so coming into our house, that's what you saw is what happens. Like, but the three of them gang up and start, you know, making fun of me. And it's like, and Elle will come to my defense, and then Corey will, like, I mean, it's just, but it's all in jest, and like, we can joke around with each other. Like, I've never had a relationship where we could just say anything to each other, and neither of us gets upset or like, you know, it's you know, and we can joke with each other, and so few people can actually take jokes anymore. Like, you know,
that's true.
It's true. It's like everyone's gotten so sensitive about every little thing that's said. So it's really. Anyway,
that's a beautiful. I think everyone's like fallen in love with your connection and your relationship, because it does feel like it's a lot of fun and that you guys get each other.
We do. We totally get each other, because we were friends for so long,
right?
Too. So that's the other part of this, is I never dated someone that I had been friends with.
That might be the key.
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, I really do, because it's a whole other level of, you know, when you have that friendship. You already have that base, right? You're not trying to build a friendship and a relationship and everything else at the same time. So, yeah, I think that might be the key.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I mean, my partner and I, like, we've like just turned into best friends, you know, and it's like, if there's something amazing, I want to share it with them first, right? Like, like it has to be them, like, and which I think is really beautiful. And I think to your point about being silly together, that's what it's really
It
about.
is.
Yeah.
It really is. And that's what I think humor and that's what keeps relationships going,
Yeah.
right? Because, if you're going to be in a long-term relationship, there are going to be moments where you can't stand each other and you can't, right? Like, it's because life is real,
Yeah.
right? So if you have that base of just being able to laugh all the time, or sometimes if we do get into an argument about something, she might say something that I just or I might say something, and then it's like, oh my God, we just
No,
start
I get
laughing,
that because it's like, who's going to break first?
right, yeah,
And it's like sometimes our egos will get in the way, and then
totally.
but if you guys are both like, girl, shut up,
right, exactly,
like,
right,
and then it feels like everything.
Exactly.
I love that. I feel like I want to talk about family as well because you were very vulnerable about your mother and your relationship with your mother. And it's great that you have a partner like Mel to support you while you're trying to figure out your relationship.
Yeah.
Where do you and your mother stand now? Are you guys on better terms?
No, I think we're still about the same.
Yeah. I feel like people don't understand that parents and children, even at a later point in your life, when you're successful and you've established it and you're a mom yourself, they can still not get you.
Yeah, they can. And what I think we also forget is they're people.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We idealize them as children. And then when we grow up and realize, oh, wait a minute, this is a full human being and a person. And and then you start to have to build a different type of relationship with your parents.
Exactly.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And it's painful.
It can be,
It can be, right? And so when there are certain things in your life that happen and that maybe your parents aren't all that thrilled about, what do you do?
Yeah.
Do you choose to change what you're doing to make your parent happy, or do you want to just make yourself happy?
Yeah, that's deep. I feel that so deep. Like it's disorienting a little bit because you're like, oh, I'm a 41-year-old woman, but I feel like I'm 13 again.
Yeah.
Because my mom may not know what I do for a living or may not agree with the partner that I've chosen to live my life with.
Exactly.
But I think to your point of like living life on your own terms, you have to make that decision.
You have to make that decision. You come to a point in life where I came to a point where I was like, first off, if I'm not happy, I'm no good to my children, right? Because what kind of an example am I setting for my kids? So that was one of my main things. It's like, do I just chug along with certain things and just because, or do I show them what it's like to take risks? To make sure you're happy, right? I think that's a better life lesson than to say, oh, I'm going to shelter my children. I'm going to stay doing whatever because I don't want to change their lives in any way. But then what are you teaching them? So it's all these things that you have to think about. And then when you're the child and then there's your parents, it's the same, and then you have to start thinking about your parents and the things. It's just, life is...
But that's a great point, though. It's like your kids are looking at you and being like, Mom's taking risks.
Right.
Mom's riding bikes.
Right.
Mom's falling in love.
Yes, exactly. In her 50s. Like, so like life doesn't also, that's the other thing. It's like, people think, so when it was announced and it was like 53-year-old Racquel Chevremont joins RHONY, my son was like, you're 53? I was like, wow, dude, you were like, I had a whole little 50th like dinner. What is going on? And he's like, he said, seeing it written, it just hit him. Holy, like you're that okay. And now he gets to see like 53 isn't old. Right?
No, it's not.
And you can restart you can have a whole new life. Like you were just saying about, 90-year-olds saying that I have to rebuild. You're never too old to rebuild and to change your life and be happy. Like, make the changes that you need to be happy.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
That's why I told you I was excited about my 50s.
Yeah.
Women like you, I'm like, yeah. Sign me up. It looks good. You, Tracy Ellis Ross, Michelle Obama. Yes. Like, y'all, like... It's looking really fun over there.
It is because I think you hit a point where you're also like, I don't care what anybody has to say. You know, like I've proven myself. I'm here. I don't have to prove myself anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just gonna do me. And you either like me or you don't like me. I mean, what am I gonna do?
I think that's what came out too, was your ability to speak and be vulnerable about things that are tough.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I was actually very surprised with myself. I don't even, because it's interesting. I had that conversation about my last name multiple times with
Chevremont?
people. Yeah, right. And it was like saying it then, it held so much more weight. And I've talked to Mel about this because I called her immediately after, and I was like, I can't believe I'm like breaking down on what's going to be national television about this. But then she was like, listen, you said you're going to do this, you're going to do this. You're going to show your life, you're going to show your life. So
no, absolutely.
that is a part of who you are.
Have you felt any type of resolution on that? Like on your relationship with your father?
Oh yeah. No. There was, and so that's the other. I was like, gosh, maybe I need to go back to therapy. I was like, I thought I resolved that. And clearly, I think there's also a lot of other stuff going on in my life that, and having children also makes you think differently about this. And having children that age, you're just like, the thought that if my kids were going through that, how painful that would have been for me to witness that. So there was a lot, right? Of emotion tied in around that. But yes, I am resolved with it. I don't, in the end, and I'm going to have family members that are going to be upset with this, but I am better off not having had him in my life. And that might upset some people to hear something like that, because who's better off not having their father in their lives? But my father was such that I might be a very different person if he had been in my life.
Right.
And so I actually am better off that he wasn't.
And now you're different. I think you probably became a different type of parent too.
Yes.
Because of that situation.
Yeah. Definitely.
And even the situation you're having with your mother, where she's kind of like being a little resistant. It's like now you're probably like, if my kid ever came to me,
That's what's making it so hard with my mom, right? Is that like, I don't care, what my kid does. Like if they're happy and they're success, like I'm not an embarrassment.
No, not at all.
So that feels like almost like you're embarrassed of me, right? And so that's the part that I don't understand.
Yeah.
That's the hard part, because I can't think of anything that I've done that if my children were to do that would make me. So listen, it's a lot.
It is.
Yeah.
When you guys were filming in Puerto Rico, did you feel like, okay, she's kind of accepting more of this part of my life. Maybe she's like, what are these cameras? What is this show that you're on?
Yeah.
Like, did you feel like some type of impasse was being?
I thought so, but I don't think so in the end. But I thought so. Listen, it was good to see her,
right?
And I felt like things were going to change, but they haven't. And so,
well, we're praying that she sees this and it evolves.
Yeah.
But that, I think, to that point, when I was thinking about this, it's like, that's why in queer families, it's so important to have found family.
Exactly.
And
hence our engagement party, because that's what that was all about, really. Yeah. Is your found family. It's it's your chosen family.
Yeah.
It's who supports you and who's there for you. And, in the end, sometimes, and I tell my children this, it's like, sometimes it's not blood that's, and that's okay.
That's okay.
It's okay.
There have been people who...
Find your people, find your tribe, find the people that support you.
And they showed up. They showed out.
Yeah.
Cacao pow.
Yes.
I was very excited about that. I would also love to talk about the Puerto Rico trip. Okay, because I just watched the episode that's airing last night.
Okay.
And it's been a ride. It's been a ride.
Yeah.
Trips typically, historically, are a great honor for a housewife. Did you know that?
I was told that after, and I was like, okay.
It is. It's not something they just give to anybody, and you're a newbie.
Yeah.
And
so I was told, like, oh, that's huge. Like, you're new and you got the trip? Okay.
Yeah. Because it's the person, the housewife who's in charge, obviously has to come up with the itinerary.
Right, yeah.
The room arrangements.
Yeah, that was a nightmare.
Did you know any of that going in? You were just like, okay, we'll like rent this house and everybody.
I
will
knew
pick.
nothing going
I'm
in.
obsessed.
So see, this is why I literally was probably, I was ill-equipped, I think. I knew nothing going in. I'm like, it's a bunch of friends. We're just going to get together. We're going to rent a house, and no one's going to care about their bedrooms. You don't spend time in your bedroom, right? Like, literally.
Yeah.
Like I go on vacation, so it's like we'll have this house, and we're going to do all these amazing, fun things. Like, who cares? Well, I was wrong.
You were very wrong.
I was very wrong.
You know what?
You know why? Because I don't care about my bedroom.
I think
honestly. And so I was like, and I'm hosting, and I said, you know what? If I'm going to take the primary room, then someone should be in there with me. And so I was like, Jenna, can you room with me? So it was like, so yes, I had the primary room, which I know some people were like, well, but you cared about it because you took the primary room.
Everybody gets the primary room. If it's your trip, you get the primary room.
Okay, thank you for that. Because I was like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have taken it.
Them's the rules.
Those are the rules. Okay, so there we go. So I didn't do anything wrong.
No.
But then I was like, but I shared it. So
You did.
yeah. So anyway,
It was very nice.
yeah. Thank you.
It was very, but I know, you know what it was annoying?
Yeah.
Was that when people pretend like they're cool with whatever room they get,
Right.
and then they're definitely
they're not.
I was like,
Yeah.
Ubah, you need to
Yeah.
relax.
Yeah.
Because we know that you are high maintenance.
Right.
You want a big room.
Right. And so go and find it. Like I don't want to have to search for a room and let them do that. And then someone was supposed to hold a room for you? Like, I don't
Yes.
think that's,
No, it's not going to happen like that.
Right. I
No.
mean, unless that was prearranged.
Exactly.
That was not, yeah.
No,
so-
it's like it's cutthroat
yeah.
historically. I think maybe you should go back and maybe watch.
I'm going to have to watch
like
now.
maybe like
Yeah.
Scary Island or
So see, everyone keeps telling me Scary Island. I'm like, what is Scary Island? I now that you've mentioned it too, I'm going to have to go back to then and figure out what Scary Island is because it sounds like it was wild.
It was wild. It had
Yeah.
your girl Kelly Ben Simone.
Okay.
She was unhinged.
Okay.
You know, this might be Scary Island 2.0 though, because I was like, the girls are
Okay.
they're fighting.
Oh yeah.
So we had Rebecca finally standing up to Bryn.
Yes.
Which I'm really proud of.
I know.
For her. It was about time.
It was about time. Yeah.
Is it Bryn's nature just to like neg? To like
get on people
Yeah,
to try to
yeah,
get a reaction. It
yeah.
seems to be. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like,
Yeah.
then we had Glamgate. I was like, why y'all mad about glam?
Right, and who cares? Like, you know, you put on makeup, take photos. If that makes you happy, then awesome. I don't necessarily do that at my parties for the most part, like my children's parties. I'm not in full makeup and with a photographer.
Next.
But I may have to now.
right.
But I never have been historically because, you know what? But also, I've done full hair and makeup. Like, that's what I did for a living.
Right.
So it's like, so for me, on my downtime, I don't want hair and makeup.
Right.
I want my downtime.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think I may be coming from a different perspective on that. But I'm not going to, who cares? Let Jessel, that's what she wants to do. Let her do it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's not hurting anybody.
It hurts no one. I said this before. I was like, your guys are not in a book club.
Right.
You're on reality TV.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like
exactly.
let your girls breathe.
Let your girl do her thing. She wants to, let her do it. Who cares?
In that moment, do you feel a need to ever defend somebody? I'm curious.
Sorry. I defend someone. Well, I did say, but I don't know that it made it in. I did defend Jessel on that because I also think for her it's also a cultural thing.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
And so that's what I said. I was like, it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
On top of it, like, so you need to understand that too.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think that made it.
I mean, listen, I don't know if it did or not, but I feel like in your confessionals, everybody was kind of like, let Jessel be. And I think also to your point, I think you may have said it in a confessional.
Maybe.
You said it was like, she's Indian and it's like, and they love glam.
Yes.
It's like an over the top.
I mean, have you ever been to an Indian wedding?
I know. I was like, hello.
Right.
And like,
they go on for days. It's like, and multiple outfit changes. Like, this is not, so let her be.
we love it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of part of the fantasy of being a housewife. It's
Right.
like, we see you in your looks, we see you go
Yeah.
on like Watch What Happens Live or
Right.
like do a shoot or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a part of the thing.
Exactly.
I found it to be grating a little bit. Like you're searching for something.
to get on her about.
Yeah. I felt
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
You know?
And then I also didn't know, is this something that's because something happened but prior to me getting to know them that I'm unaware of with them? Like, did Jessel go after her for something with respect to this? And now she's going after... so I wasn't really sure where it was all coming from.
Yeah.
Because it seemed silly.
It seemed very silly. I just think that Bren is a little... This is my personal take.
Yeah.
Just a little upset that maybe that Jessel's like a fan favorite.
Yeah, so I said that Jessel was a fan favorite, and then people came at me for that.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. I got people coming on at me online, but she
knowledge.
is, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
She was a breakout star.
Right. That's what I thought. But, yeah.
Girl, you were right. Don't worry.
Yeah, I was like, really? It was like, she is not. I don't know. I was like, I'm just ignoring people. I'm not going to respond to anybody.
Do you ever... I'm sure maybe your mentions are probably blowing up when you log on to your Instagram. Do you ever kind of engage with that?
I don't engage at all.
No.
At all.
Like,
I don't have time for it. And honestly, it's all, everything online to me seems very mean girlish.
Right.
And I'm like, I think that when people... Why isn't there a lot of positive stuff? Like there should be both things happening, and if it's very negative, I'm like, okay, first off, they might be bots, they might be all kinds of other, So I don't engage because you could be engaging with a computer. You have no idea who you're engaging.
Yeah, you never
with.
get involved. Never argue online. I think
why?
I just block.
Yeah.
And move on.
Block and move on. Now, if it was something about my children, I would totally block, try to do everything I could to get rid of them. But I still wouldn't engage, I don't think. Because it's like a waste of time.
It is a waste of time.
I'm not going to be able to protect myself. No. People are going to like me. People are going to hate me. But that's life. It's just on a bigger or larger platform. But, not everybody's going to love you.
This is true.
I am not for everyone. and I don't need to be.
You have to have that type of sensibility, I think, doing this show.
Yeah.
Because people are going to say stuff.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. We're all loudmouth and we're at home and we're watching this.
Yeah,
screaming at our televisions.
So, yeah.
I feel you. I like that sense of detachment.
Yeah.
I kind of want to touch on the Ubah in Puerto Rico talking about the beach. Because I watched that episode and I was like, This knows good. This knows good. How did you feel in that moment? Because I knew you were very diplomatic.
I was very diplomatic.
You were. You could have gone
I could have.
off.
I could have.
Very New York style, but you were not.
But I was not.
Yeah.
And I had to sit and really think about it. And, because that's what I do. I sit and I think, where is this coming from? Why? What's happening here? Before just going off on someone. Because oftentimes it's not even worth going off on someone, But so I thought about it, and then I was like, and I wanted to have the conversation once it had died down, and then I was like, let me then go in and speak to her,
right.
Because I'm not sure where this is coming from, and. Anyway, so I went in and talked to her, and it still didn't really resolve anything, right? So, she felt the way she felt, and that was that. And then I think she then said, oh, well, I didn't know it was your childhood beach, and I should have. But that's not what was upsetting. And that's not, it was literally, there were so many things that happened. There was a massive, rainstorm for 40 minutes before, and so all this stuff washed down onto the beach. Sorry, I speak with my hands. It's a very New York thing of me. I know it's irritating. So everything washed down onto the beach, and there was the inlet. So where that dead bird was how the mangroves, when the tide is high, the water goes out into that channel, and then when the tide comes back, sometimes there are fish that get stuck. There's, come on, I thought this is we all know this.
Right.
So to cause so much
it's nature.
It's it's nature. It's have you never seen a dead bird before? It's just all this stuff. And then I thought, maybe I should have just taken you to a gringo beach. That's my fault for thinking you wanted to see and be around Puerto Ricans.
Right.
And a beach where we would be, and a local situation versus someone who's going to be out there manicuring the beach every 2 seconds to make sure, So that is not how I roll. Like,
Right.
I don't want to be at the manicured beach. I want to be with the folks wherever
Right.
it is I am. But I guess not everyone feels that way, right? So,
No.
yeah.
So she never apologized
Not she said that
or
what she
acknowledged?
said was she didn't think it was rude. She felt that she wasn't saying that the ocean was disgusting, but she was.
Yes. We kept saying it. She's like,
Yeah.
don't go in the water.
They'll go in the water, but right. But she said that's not what she meant, and she's sticking by that. And and she apologized because I know it was your childhood beach, but that wasn't what the issue was. It was a little more
Culturally
yeah,
insensitive.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
yeah.
It's kind of hard. You then had to go into another fight. There were like 3 fights that were happening all at once, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like you have this issue with Ubah. You're like,
Yeah,
you're being
yeah.
culturally insensitive
Right.
to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
my home
Right.
country,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
home
yeah.
island.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
hello.
yeah.
And then you have Ubah and Bren going at each other, like, for 2 days straight at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a hard fight, though, because I was looking at both of their in a hard fight in the sense of, like, I don't know the origins of it, and I don't know
Right.
how it started, really. I've watched it over and over again.
So
and
I
it
think
just-
are you talking about the fight in the hot tub?
yes, when it just escalated. It escalated from the dinner the night before,
Right.
when she's like, "Why are you here?"
I mean, which was amazing. Like
That was actually really funny.
That
I
was
was
so
like-
entertaining.
I was
Like,
like, yeah, you tell
it
that
was
bitch.
like, okay,
Leave
here's
us
the
alone.
levity, and this is awesome. Oh yeah, what? Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
I mean,
it's like,
it was awesome.
but that escalates,
Well,
right?
that escalated because if you remember when we get into the van,
Right.
then she says,
you slept your way to the top, and
or-
then
right,
and I'm
or
like,
you may
yo,
have,
whoa,
right.
like, what's happening?
So I think so. That's what escalated it.
So they were just simmering
Yeah.
from that over, and it fell over into the next day, and then they were just like at each other's throat after the synchronized swimming, no less. Y'all had a moment. Y'all were like, we're happy, and it was like, just kidding.
And Jenna came with like the cute caps, and I love synchronized swimming. So when I found
It
out
was
she
very
did
cute.
too, because I didn't know that about her,
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? I love synchronized swimming. I was a gymnast, so like any sort of
Okay.
yeah. So I was having fun.
Yeah.
And then I got hit in the head accidentally.
Oh, right.
So I ended up with like an ice pack because she actually hit me really hard, which was not on purpose.
Yeah.
And then the other.
That was so chaotic. You had like an ice pack, then all the girls were screaming at each other, and then you had like, you guys had done the pubic hair prank before. It was a chaotic night.
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder if something astrologically was happening at that.
Was there a full moon?
No, I literally was like, yo, this is.
I don't know astrology. Was like Venus in something or whatever, however
Something
that works.
was rocking because that house was on fire.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a to be continued.
Yes.
But like in the aftermath now, because this happened months ago and you've done the reunion, how do you feel after that explosion of a night?
I mean, I think, we'll see.
You can't give away too much.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have one particular person's back over another, or
Yes.
okay? Can you share who that is? Do you feel?
I think at this point in time, it might not make a ton of sense. But I think actually you see it in the first episode of the season, right? Where we're
Oh yeah. You guys are like, we don't know.
we don't know where this is going to go.
Yeah.
And how this is going to work. But in the end, it's it was clear what was. Yeah, you'll see. I can't go into
My heart's beating.
Yeah.
Fast.
Yeah.
And it would surprise me.
It would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. All right. Then I will.
Yeah.
I will wait to be surprised because I was like, I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I think from the last night's episode, just like at the.
Are you?
I was by the
Yeah.
venom.
Right.
Because that's real, like that's like someone that you do not like.
Right.
That's like a guttural, like
Yeah.
I have a huge reaction to you, and
Yeah.
that's like, whoa, I didn't know it was that dark,
Right.
and it went very 0 to 60.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have whiplash?
I did, definitely. That was, and I think, when we were being interviewed in the beginning, everyone was like, it was a roller coaster. It really was. It was literally a
yeah.
So, and I love roller coasters, but this one
You're
was
a thrill seeker.
This, it was intense. Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah, to say the least. I mean, how do you feel having watched it? Like, what are your thoughts?
First of all, I want to know where you got your bathing suit.
Oh,
it's really cute.
Okay, I'll have to check.
Please.
To check. Yeah.
No, but after watching the fight, like I said, I thought it was very dark, unhinged, and I was a little shocked by Ubah's inability to emotionally regulate.
Yeah.
I think that for me, I was like, whoa, okay, like this is someone who doesn't have an off button,
right?
And so I think that's what I got really shaken up about.
Yeah.
And I think obviously Housewives always has drama. But when it gets to the point where you have to cut taping early or people have to be separated, like one person has to go home or go to a hotel, I'm like, yo, what happened?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I might be shocked too.
You are. I think everyone's going to be pretty shocked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Naomi wish.
Yes.
That was crazy.
That was unfortunate.
I was like, don't do that.
No,
don't activate Naomi with Campbell.
Well, that was my...
don't activate.
I was like, I'm staying so far away from this because I am not activating Naomi. This is not... That was definitely... That was a moment.
It was definitely a moment. So I think that's how I kind of view it.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just curious to know, like, are you just like these straight people and their problems? Like, damn.
Listen, no,
like,
I mean, like to be fair, queer folks, we have problems too.
Right.
Yeah. The drama may be different.
Yes, it is.
It is, but there's still drama. So it's there are certain things that I think are triggers for these women that are not for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that comes with age. I don't know if that's so I don't know. There are a lot of factors that, that it could be that they don't trigger me. And it's also maybe I just have that personality. I don't know. But yeah. So it's interesing. it's a different type of drama than I'm used to with friends, but
it's a very different type of drama. But
I'm here for it. I mean, I can handle it. And these women at the end are, of the day are just really beautiful, strong, and courageous women. I mean,
you're putting your lives out there.
Yeah. Putting our lives out there to be judged by strangers, and like hundreds of thousands of strangers. And that's you can't forget that. Like at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and this is not a scripted show. This is our life. So when you come hard at us, it's it actually
takes a hit.
It's unfair.
Yeah. I get it. I do. I think that you have to. I always like to take a sense of detachment from this before I'm getting like so into it, because I think of it like my fantasy football. Like I know the scores, I know the stats, the players. Yeah. But I have to also realize, guys, this is just a show, and you have to relax. And these are people that you could meet in everyday
exactly.
life. Like literally, like. We have similar friends.
Right.
It's like it's not.
Yes.
So I think there has to be some sense of detachment.
There has to be.
Yeah.
I think people, and also at the end of the day, I think, for me, I wish before people start like online, think, if I had cameras on me all day for a month, what might I end up looking like? Okay,
so I would never do it, honey.
Maybe I should take a step back. Right. So
I hear that.
Yeah.
I totally hear that. I would never do it. I'm always like, no. Yeah. But I'd be a great friend of.
Yeah.
Good for a cocktail. I also really think, and we've touched on this a little bit, but I think it's really important that you are a queer woman and you're
Yeah.
you're showing your queer family on television,
Yeah.
because New York is so queer.
Yes.
That's what's wild
Yes.
about it. It's
I
like
know.
it's like
I know.
this is a gay ass city. If you're gonna be gay
Yes.
anywhere, you should be gay here.
Exactly.
So I think that's
Yes.
a very important part of this season. We
Yeah.
go to Bush.
Exactly. I know.
You know, we see the ball.
Yeah.
How important was that for you to?
Very.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
Because that was I mean, that was one of the reasons we joined. It's I want, the world we're in today.
Yes.
It's right. There's a lot of toxicity and a lot of stuff, negativity around, and people who make assumptions and presumptions of what certain people's lifestyles must be like.
Right.
And I wanted to show, like, here, like, take a look at this. This is a blended family, right? We're queer. We have children. They seem well adjusted.
Very, very.
Right?
Yes.
The kids are all right. We're all right. We have careers. We have, and we're real people, and we have real lives and real worlds. And so I think sometimes it's helpful for people to see, because they have no one that they see that they can say, oh, you know what? I know Raquel, like, and I see her on the show. So my daughter's queer. Like, I can, her life's not over. Like, right. Like, it's, I think, and at least I hope, right? And I have gotten a lot of like DMs,
Cool.
from people.
I love that.
From one mother who was like, my son came out, and now I told him I want to take him to New York, and like, where should I take him? And and you helped me, and you helped me speak, like, literally about that, the queerness, but also my mother, right, and that situation. So I have received a lot of, and that's, I feel like, that makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so it all balances out in the end.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, it's needed and necessary, and I love the feedback.
Yeah.
Right, because you're being so vulnerable. You're like, I hope this, someone.
There were some people who had some negative stuff to say, but it's like, overall, I think people, have given me some grace with respect to, some of the things I shared.
Right.
Were difficult. I mean, I did have some people like, well, your mother, so what? She has to accept that you're gay. Can't you accept that she doesn't like it? Like, it's just like,
we don't have time for that.
Yeah.
We don't have time for that.
I don't have time for that. So,
do you feel like you being open with your family life may have influenced Jenna to be a little bit more open with hers? Maybe.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. We'll see.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope we made her partner, and we could have some major dates
I
going on.
I know.
That would be
epic. I think that would be amazing. So let's hope.
Okay, Jenna, if you're listening to this, I guess my last question to you is, how has being on the show impacted your relationship with yourself?
With myself. You know what? It actually has taught me that it's okay to be openly vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's something that I've always been very, like, somewhat guarded about.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I talk to, like, my closest friends know a lot about me, but then other people. So it's like, you know what? It's okay. Like, it's okay to let people into your life in this way, So I think that, I think it's that's the one thing that this has taught me, actually. It's like,
we love it. We love getting to know you.
No, thank you.
Do you have any Scorpio in your chart?
No, my mother's a Scorpio, though.
Oh.
And I don't have my chart done. I've never had my chart done. No.
I know you're a Cancer.
I am. Yeah.
We should figure out your, like, big three.
Yeah, I know.
There's like tons of apps you can, like, literally put in, like,
just plug and play.
Yeah. Because then you feel like maybe there's some Scorpio there.
There might be. Why? What are Scorpios?
Scorpios tend to be a bit more guarded.
Oh, okay.
And it takes a long time to get to know them. And but they also set trends. They have very luxurious tastes.
Oh,
they're like kind of femme fatales in a way.
Oh,
one of my close friends is a Scorpio, so I have learned a lot about. It just takes time to get to know them,
right,
and for them to unravel.
Yes,
yeah.
That That would be me.
Maybe
Maybe I do have Scorpio.
maybe like
Interesting.
your moon or your rising.
Yeah, I gotta check.
Please do.
I will.
One question we always ask our guests is that, okay, so you're Auntie Raquel.
Okay.
Can you give a piece of advice to the kiddies in the art world who are coming up in the game, and what piece of advice would you give them?
Coming up in the game in what way? Like as curators, as collectors, as artists? Like
as artists, as yes, as artists.
As artists. I think you have to find your voice, right? So you can look at, have inspiration and look at other artists. You've got to make it yours, and just be authentic to who you are too, and don't do this because you want to become famous, because you want to do it because you can't do anything but create art, because that you can't survive without it, right? Because nothing is guaranteed, right? So it's got to be something that's so that you have to let out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And not something where it's like, I don't know what else to do. Let me become an artist. Because I have met those people too.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I think, and just be true to who you are.
I love that. When that thing, you can't hide it.
You can't hide it. Then that's, and then, you'll find your niche. And this is not a race. This is it's a marathon, right? Like life is a marathon. It's going to take time. Just keep chugging at it. And definitely be in your studio. Don't think that, I can draw something, I'm going to post it online, I'm going to be famous tomorrow, right? You actually have to put in the time.
I love artists in their studios.
Yeah.
My friends who are artists, I'm always just like, I love that dedication.
Yes.
It's very, very inspiring.
Yes. And you have to have that dedication.
Absolutely.
It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
No.
And you have to have patience, like you're saying.
Lots of patience. Yeah.
Yep. I just want to thank you so much.
Oh, thank you
for coming on.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see you next season.
Hopefully.
Of RHONY and your favorite auntie, because we really enjoyed having you on both.
Awesome. Thank you. I've enjoyed being here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, that's it for this week, BBs. I want to thank my guest, the amazing Racquel Chevremont, for joining me today, and thank you so much for listening. I hope you love this conversation as much as I did. Until next time, Auntie sends her love. If you want to show your auntie some love, be sure to subscribe, share this episode with your community, and leave us a review in the App Store. It makes a world of difference.